Started, and it's my opponent to go first. I have a pretty balanced rack, but the W and the U not ideal together. Opponent has exchanged one, so he's on the verge of bingoing. I have the out prefix. No bingo emerging from these 7. I have power here for 26. Yeah, I think I'll go with this. Volters through the E. Opponent likely to go for the 4-timer if possible. Sounds like his rack was pretty strong if he was just exchanging 1. Vestral through the E as well. The E being the most useful floater for this rack. Yeah, opponent bingos through the P and maximizes score. So anything through the I. Virtuals. Nope, virtual cannot be pluralized, so let's go for vestral. For 67. Ah, vestral no good. What am I mixing that up with? Anyway, volters should be fine. Vestral. Vestral. I think I was mixing it up with something very close to it. Anyway, not a bad pickup. Longers jumps out as a bingo. And opponent gets rid of V and G. Now I've got loungers for a 4-timer, and that's unlikely to be improved upon. Not bad. Pretty balanced. I have the F and the Y for score. Opponent, wow, bingos. Quayside for a monster 104 points. I have Caddy and Cade, but is there a bingo? What about this R? Short of bingoing, I'm likely to play Caddy. But is there a bingo? I have an E to work with, as well as an S. The V not fantastic with this rack. Almost indiref if the A were an R. I have the end component, so I think it's going to be Caddy. I might be missing a bingo here. There's a nice spot here as well for the F. but caddy it is for 42. Not great. I've triplicated the ends, so perhaps Fanny. Oh, Fletch 42, big score. Opponent takes the lead again. Looking at FEI words. Not many on offer there. Pity I don't have another A for fauna. That would have scored handsomely. So, what to do? Caponia takes an S. I could just play Fanny through the A, but it doesn't score great. It gets rid of 2 of the 3 N's, which is a plus. Yeah, it just feels like there is something better. I think Fanny it is. It keeps as bingo-y a leave as I can see from that set of 7 tiles. Not a great pickup. Aeonian, not quite. Opponent continues to score. So 18. Well, he slowed down a bit there, but he's still in the lead. Now, I won't be scoring amazingly with this rack, that's for sure. Looking at getting value from the V. Or maybe just something like Ake 16. Rack leave not great. Almost Aeolian through the L. What about a tone? 21, that looks right. Not great. W with the 2 I's. Not the rest of the rack pretty decent. But the W, yeah, not ideal. I have the Y's component of a word. Any Y's with a Y I think might be good. Opponent gets rid of a couple of vowels. Now what about call? I don't think call is good. No, I didn't think. Looked a bit weird. Now W, nope, I don't have an O for getting rid of the W. Inweave, ooh, almost inweaves if one of the I's were an E. How to get rid of Iwi? That would sort the rack out. What about wive? $27, not a bad rack leaf. I'm going with this. Pretty good. Stained and detains and a few others. Caponia, destain, that plays there. Andesite onto an E. Don't think the H helps. Handiest. That actually does work. Wow, how good would that be if opponent weren't to scupper that play? 99 points. What are the other options? Ouch. Detains. I don't think meh takes an S. Didn't think so, yeah. What a shame. What about deviance doesn't work? Destain gives opponent an easy score. Nidates. Oh, atones and detains. That'll have to be it. Safest play. Sacrifices a little bit of score. Not good at all. Good that I've drawn the Z, but not one vowel to work with. So res or bez keeps the score ticking along. Zimb, a zimbi might be good as well. Now what about through the E? Betty. The Z I don't think can be incorporated into a word that plays through the E and reaches the triple word square. Zin does play here. Wow, a word ending TZ would be great. Something like milts. So maybe I do play Betty through the E, the Y not overly helpful for bingos. The X still to come. Here's a hot spot for the X. OX for a bingo-y score. So maybe I do take the X spot out and play Bez. Bale, interesting. Do I keep the score ticking along or do I go for tile turnover? Lots of vowels to come. I'm worried about the ox play here. Should I be worried about it? I'm going for score 34. Wow, even with a vowel surplus I didn't draw. Okay, G takes an R. I think trip is good. Yep, so 47 there. Now there is an S to come, so bingo's pluralizing Bale. I have the out prefix, but definitely not a bingo Iraq, this one. So I'll just be going to maximize score with the M. Can trip be extended tryptophan or something weird like that. Now G takes the A. Opponent's got to play there with the A. Possibly. Wyver is good. So on the side of safety by blocking both plays. So what about something like Mott? That takes out the A and it takes out the Wyver play. Mary not playable. Zerus, good score. Now I'm pretty low on time. What's the best I can muster here with my M? Wow, look at the remaining tiles. Opponent, if I play Mout, what does he play? O, EO and O is the best he can manage there. I don't mind about that. Yep, I think I'll play Mout for 18. Or do I just get rid of... What about Mutt, actually? That looks good. Opponent can't do much there. Yeah, I'm going for this. Mutt for 18. And then Duo to go out, unless he blocks Duo. I can still go out with Udo somewhere. He has taken it out. That's fine. Aud and add. Anything better? Doubt. I doubt there's anything better than this. 16. So that's the end of the game. Thank my opponent. So final score 489 to 368. Let's see what we missed in that game. Back to the beginning. So opponent had this rack. Interesting. He changed one. And let's see what he did do. He changed an N. I suppose that is a pretty strong 6-letter set. Power for 26. Pouter would have been just a touch better, but not much in it. Now opponent's got a few bingo options: Procane, Apocrine and Caponia. And Volters for 67. Vestral. Why didn't that play? Maybe I misplaced the tiles, but I could have sworn I mentioned Vestral. Oh, Vestural. I spelt it wrong. I transposed the R and the U. Vestural. Okay. So that's what I mixed up there. So that makes sense. But Volters came down. And now opponent's interesting rack. Squidge through the U for a 4-timer, 64 points. That's almost worth... Well, is it? Simming at 57, but look at that, 14 points, a 50-point difference in score, and yet it sims almost the same because of how strong the remaining rack is. Especially keeping the U open, which is, I'd say, unlikely to be blocked, but yeah, possibility of it being blocked, I guess. So Vig comes down and then lounges for 86, gives me a small lead. Well, actually a bingo-y lead. And then Quayside for 104 points. Wow, nice find by opponent. Querida, good as well. That one was 14B, but that's a bit more volatile. So Quayside. And then no bingos here. I did take a bit of time because it looked like there might be something through the right floater. The R looked pretty handy, but caddy, now fly simming best by about 3 points. Equity 35 for fly. Okay, that's actually not bad because extremely bingo-y 5-letter set. The possibility of a caddy play for next turn. And yeah, anyway, not a huge amount in it. I went with caddy. As it happens, opponent wouldn't have had a, but he might have been able to play through the U with a CH play. Anyway, Fletch still works quite well for him here. Onto the trip. That's the best. Now, Fenny simming best. Where was that? Caponier extending with the E hook. A little bit volatile, but not overly so. But I went with Fanny, which also got rid of the 2 A's and kept a pretty good 3-letter set. Yeah, the vowels and consonants at this stage pretty balanced. So opponent now in a bit of a tricky spot, but does have some scoring tile potential in the K. OG for 23. Again, that hook goes with Gecko. And no scoring potential here, but look at this through the V. No V. That was the play. I did look at the V, but I just couldn't see a play that reached the double word square. So that was a little bit of a miss. A tone, and opponent not far from a bingo through the right floater, but yeah, a little vowel heavy, I'd say. Louis for 28 would have been nice. Opponent goes with woe, and then the 2 I's and the W, but the rest of the rack pretty strong. Wive was simming best, so glad to have spotted that. And Hyemel for 42 opponent had. Wow, that's not one you see every day. Opponent went with Ma. Now scores are pretty close at this stage, and my rack matures into a bingo with a fair few options available to me here. And instead and destain. That's, yeah, pluralizing Caponier, but I just didn't want to take, look at this, the X, the J, the Z, providing an opportunity to reach the triple word square, by playing underneath Caponia could easily have cancelled out the effect of the bingo, and I took out a bingo lane by playing detains, so there was some merit to that move. Now, pretty good rack for opponent, some scoring potential. X for 38 with a good leave. He goes with Bale. Interesting, keeping the X. Oh, maybe he was waiting for the O for Ox and X, as previously mentioned. Now, I was thinking about Betty, and perhaps Betty would have been the play because I had Zin for a minimum of 32 or Res for a minimum of 32 again. So the Z, keeping the Z back actually did make sense. Yeah, not a huge amount in it, but I just wanted to keep the score ticking along so I could outrun a bingo if opponent did play one. Opponent now has Jaxie for a bingo-y score, 56, interesting. Jaxie, but he goes with G. Now G does take a few hooks. So I guess opponent did have to play somewhat in a volatile fashion to kind of open lanes and so forth. Trip for 47 scored best. Trump was also good, but I did want to keep my one and only Val, so I'm still happy with Trip. And then opponent's got U for 33, but at this stage the game's won. There's no bingo to be played. Xeris is the highest score, so opponent spots that one. And then Mutt for 19, Mod, okay, but that gives opponent AIA. I forgot about the OWO. That's a relatively new word. 2-2 then plays. Does it play anywhere on the board? Well, if opponent plays AIA, it doesn't. So yeah, not crazy about Mod because it gives back the score to opponent. And I did have the outplay by playing Mutt. A bit of a horror show there for opponent. And Doubt was the highest outplay for 16. So that was the end of the game. Hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I'll see you next time.